it in my head.
We are headed to Columbus, Ohio. You know who lives in Ohio?
Candy apple! Kathy, she's like a cold sore that just keeps coming back like, I'm here, I'm here, I'm here. And you're like, God, go away already.
Every single person is going to be in the group dance.
I will explain the gossip. Never miss this video. Please subscribe to the channel. From slicked back buns to glittery braids, dance moms never had a dull hair day, but not all styles were created equal. The ALDC wasn't just known for jaw-dropping routines and cutthroat drama, it was also a full-blown salon showdown. Whether it was Abby Lee Miller barking at a mom for letting their kid wear a messy ponytail or the moms fighting over a can of hairspray, the hair drama ran almost as deep as the rivalries. Let's comb through the most iconic, cringy, controversial, and downright chaotic hair moments in Dance Mom's history, because when it comes to the ALDC, even a bun could spark a meltdown. From day one, Abby made one thing very clear. The ALDC had a look. That look included uniform buns, no flyaways, and absolutely zero individuality, especially not in the form of bangs or curls. In Season 1, we saw how seriously Abby took the tight bun role. Chloe, Maddie, and Nia would be lined up like dolls as Abby patrolled the dressing room with eagle eyes. Any loose strand was treated like a national emergency. When Mackenzie came in with curls one episode, Abby lost it. "This isn't toddlers and tiaras," she snapped, practically ripping out a ribbon. Kelly always clashed with Abby about this, especially when it came to Paige. Kelly would often say, "It's just hair." But to Abby, it was a symbol of discipline, control, and brand image. The tighter the bun, the tighter the routine. The ALDC aesthetic was polished, fierce, and painfully consistent, and hair played a starring role in that. The dressing rooms were war zones, and the weapons of choice? Flat irons, teasing combs, and enough hairspray to deplete the ozone layer. Melissa was known for doing both Maddie and Mackenzie's hair with extreme precision, often sparking envy and eye rolls from the other moms. Christy would famously side-eye Melissa as she whipped out high-end curling irons and half a suitcase of styling products. One unforgettable moment. During a competition, Brooke's hair fell out of its elastic mid-performance. Abby exploded backstage, screaming at Kelly for not securing it properly. "You think Cirque du Soleil dancers have their hair flying in their face?" she shrieked. Kelly shot back, "It's not her hair's fault, you're a lunatic." Moms would physically block mirrors, snatch hair pieces, and even accuse each other of sabotaging styles. One episode saw Jill screaming that someone tampered with Kendall's bun. The moms were practically on the verge of a brawl over a missing donut bun insert. Enter JoJo Siwa. The moment she walked into the ALDC with that massive bow and high side pony, Abby's brain short-circuited. JoJo's style was bold, colorful, and in Abby's words, a walking distraction. But JoJo wouldn't budge. "This is me," she'd say, twirling her bow. And the bows just kept getting bigger. Abby tried to break her down. In rehearsals, she'd insist JoJo wear a bun. JoJo would show up with glitter in her hair instead. "You look like a Christmas tree," Abby snapped one day. But JoJo's confidence was bulletproof. Fans loved it. JoJo's hair was more than style. It was a rebellion. Every side ponytail was a statement. She wasn't going to blend in. And over time, even Abby had to admit JoJo was a brand all her own. There were certain styles that made Abby go nuclear. Nia's natural curls? Abby once told Holly they looked messy and unprofessional, sparking one of the most emotional confrontations between the two. "I'm not changing her hair to fit your mold," Holly declared. Her hair is part of who she is. But Abby didn't back down. She forced Nia into wigs for certain numbers, even when they made her uncomfortable. The message was clear. Individuality was only allowed when Abby approved of it. Another infamous episode? When Jill gave Kendall bangs, without consulting Abby. Jill thought it would give Kendall a more mature look. Abby thought it made her look like she belonged in kindergarten. "You just destroyed her face line," Abby yelled. "You've sabotaged her career." Jill stormed out, screaming about how Abby didn't own her daughter's hair. But Abby held a grudge. Kendall was sidelined for 2 weeks before being allowed to lead again. Wigs were a major player in ALDC group numbers. From Cleopatra to Marie Antoinette, the girls were constantly swapping their own hair for something wild, and not always willingly. One episode featured a group dance set in ancient Egypt, with all the girls wearing stiff black Cleopatra wigs. Nia's wouldn't stay on properly, and Abby blamed her head shape. "She needs to fix her head," Abby actually said, dead serious. The infamous rich girl number had Maddie in a blonde bob wig and everyone else in pigtails. Melissa tried to defend the look, but it was clear Abby was trying to make Maddie pop, with a different hairpiece no one else got. The worst disaster? The Alice in Wonderland themed group number. Paige's wig was too large, kept slipping, and totally distracted from her performance. Abby yelled at Kelly backstage. She looked like a mushroom. The moms hated the wigs, the kids hated them more, and yet, Abby kept insisting they added drama. Chapter 6. The Hair Hierarchy. Who got the best styles? It was clear early on, not all hair was created equal at the ALDC. Maddie always had the sleekest looks, often with braids, clips, or extensions that enhanced her performance, never hindered. Meanwhile, Brooke and Paige often got stuck with last-minute, thrown-together looks. Kelly would be seen frantically teasing a bun or curling ends 5 minutes before curtain call. Kendall's styles were a roller coaster. Sometimes Jill pulled out all the stops: glitter, headbands, curls. Other times, Kendall's hair seemed like an afterthought, especially when she was in Abby's doghouse. Nia, through it all, had the most diverse hairstyles. From straightened looks to cultural braids to giant afros, Holly always pushed for representation and often had to fight for it. Abby's reactions ranged from confused to outright dismissive, showing just how narrow her vision of acceptable hair really was. One of the most iconic showdowns happened when Abby criticized every single girl's hair before a competition. She lined them up and went one by one, pointing out flaws. Maddie, perfect. Kendall, frizzy. Nia, what is that? She barked. The moms had enough. Holly led the charge. You want to critique hair? Go to beauty school, not a dance studio. Kelly, Christy, and Jill joined in. The dressing room turned into a screaming match over control, beauty standards, and self-expression. Abby stormed out, but not before threatening to disqualify the team for inappropriate presentation. The kicker? The team ended up winning the competition, messy ponytails and all. Let's take a breather and appreciate some actually amazing ALDC hair moments. JoJo's glitter bow explosion, that massive gold glitter bow from her boomerang era? Legendary. Maddie's crown braid. During her lyrical solo, she wore a regal braid that made her look like dance royalty. And Nia's Afro power moment. In one solo, Nia wore her hair big and bold, commanding the stage with every turn. Kendall's pink highlights. During one jazz number, Jill allowed a hint of pink in Kendall's ponytail. Abby nearly fainted, but it looked fabulous. These styles weren't just accessories. They were expressions of personality, moments of rebellion, and sometimes tiny acts of war. Underneath the teasing combs and bobby pins, there was something deeper at play. Hair on Dance Moms became symbolic of control, favoritism, identity, and defiance. Every bow JoJo wore was a declaration: I won't be tamed. Every bun Maddie had was a crown of responsibility and pressure. Every twist and curl Holly protected was a reminder that culture matters. The fights about hair weren't just about style. They were about who got to be seen, who got to be themselves, and who got punished for daring to stand out. Season 1 set the tone, and the tone was Vegas showgirl. Even when the girls were barely 10 years old, Abby insisted on rhinestones, fishnets, and dramatic lashes. One of the first truly shocking costume moments? The electricity number. Tiny Maddie and Chloe were dressed in fringe two-pieces that left even the judges looking uncomfortable. Christy and Holly exchanged panicked glances backstage. This isn't age-appropriate, Holly whispered. Abby didn't care. This is performance, she barked. The moms weren't buying it. Kelly was livid when Brooke was put in a black mesh top with rhinestone-studded short shorts. She looks like she's in a music video, not a children's competition, she yelled. Abby just smirked. Good. She should look like she belongs on MTV. What do you do when your kid hates their costume? At the ALDC, you suffer. because Abby wasn't making changes for anyone. Mackenzie once burst into tears after being given a monkey costume for a jungle-themed acro number. "I wanted to be the princess," she sobbed. Abby rolled her eyes and shouted, "Not everyone can be the star, Mackenzie." Kendall's fashion confidence took a hit in Season 3 when Abby gave her a stiff, unflattering blue bodysuit for a lyrical solo. "It doesn't move with her body," Jill complained. "She can't feel the music in that." Abby's response? She's lucky she has a costume at all. Meanwhile, Nia was constantly given the most literal costumes, from zebras to warriors to voodoo dolls. Holly fought tooth and nail to get Abby to see past stereotypes. She deserves elegance. She deserves glam. Why does she always get animal prints? If JoJo Siwa's bows were bold, her costumes were blinding. But JoJo didn't wait for Abby's approval. She brought her own rhinestones, neon, and glitter in bulk. When she danced her solo prom queen, JoJo appeared in a massive pink tulle skirt with a bedazzled bodice. Abby looked like she had just seen a crime scene. "She's drowning in tulle. I can't even see her legs," she yelled. Jesselyn fought back. "That's called style, Abby." Another week, JoJo arrived in a highlighter yellow leotard with a ruffled shoulder. Abby refused to let her perform in it. "She looks like a feather duster from the 1980s, she snapped. JoJo shrugged and said, "Well, at least I stand out." JoJo's confidence became iconic, and her costume chaos became fan-favorite content. But in Abby's eyes, it was still rebellion in rhinestones. One of the most consistent controversies on Dance Moms? Just how revealing the costumes got, especially for girls as young as 8, 9, and 10. Christy often drew the line when she felt a costume was borderline inappropriate. During the My Pumps jazz routine, the girls wore black latex-looking outfits with thigh-high stockings. Christy stormed backstage. "They look like they're in a nightclub, Abby." Abby didn't flinch. Good. Maybe someone will book them. In Season 4, things hit a boiling point when the group dance Amber Alert featured the girls in torn dresses meant to mimic kidnapped children. The moms were horrified. "This isn't about costume critique anymore," Holly said. "This is about decency." Even the audience was uncomfortable. Abby defended it as art, but fans flooded message boards questioning her choices and the ethics of using kids for shock value. Not all costume drama was Abby's fault. Sometimes, it was the moms trying to be Martha Stewart, with catastrophic results. During one duet, Jill decided to upgrade Kendall's costume with extra crystals, but glued them on backwards. The crystals cut into Kendall's skin during rehearsal. Abby screamed, "Did you let her bleed for fashion?" Another time, Kelly tried to fix Brooke's torn strap with a safety pin. Mid-performance, the pin popped open, and Brooke nearly had a full-on wardrobe malfunction. Abby was furious. "I should never let the moms touch the costumes." Mackenzie once tripped on a skirt that Melissa had altered to be longer. Abby scolded her, "You ruined the choreo with that fisherman's net you call a skirt." Lesson learned. Step away from the hot glue gun ladies. It wasn't hard to notice. Some girls consistently had couture-level costumes, while others looked like they borrowed outfits from the lost and found bin. Maddie always had custom-fitted, luxurious pieces, intricate beading, velvet, unique silhouettes. Christy would constantly side-eye Melissa. "Funny how the rest of us get whatever's left over from the dance bin, but Maddie's in Versace." Chloe, on the other hand, often got hand-me-downs or backups. In one group number, her costume was visibly looser than the others. Christy ranted, "Is it really a coincidence that Maddie's hem is perfect and Chloe's is falling apart?" Nia's costumes were often off-theme or less glamorous. Holly made it her mission to demand equality, not just in dance time, but in how the girls looked on stage. Costume equity matters, Abby. Abby always played it off, "I go with what suits the choreography." But the favoritism was as clear as the rhinestones on Maddie's bodice. Sometimes, Abby would get too literal with the theme, and the costume suffered for it. Death Comes to Life had the girls in full skeleton leotards with dark eye makeup. One mom joked they looked like haunted Barbie dolls. Then there was the Aliens Among Us number. The girls wore metallic green unitards and swim caps painted silver. Christy said, "They look like leftovers from a middle school sci-fi play." Abby's strangest moment. The taxidermy number, where the girls played dead animals. in fur bodysuits. Fans were stunned. Even the judges looked horrified. You could hear a pin drop, Holly recalled. And not in a good way. Abby, of course, defended it all as theatrical genius. Somehow, every competition seemed to come with a last-minute costume emergency. Whether it was a missing shoe, a broken strap, or the wrong tights, chaos always struck right before go time. In one unforgettable episode, Kendall's entire costume was missing hours before the show. Jill accused Abby of sabotage. Abby blamed the costume company. Meanwhile, Kendall cried in the corner, convinced she wouldn't be able to perform. Another time, Maddie and Mackenzie had their names switched on their costumes, and neither fit correctly. Melissa had a breakdown trying to swap them without wrinkling anything. One of the worst cases? Nia's costume showed up an hour before her solo. The wrong size, wrong color, and missing accessories. Holly exploded. Would Maddie ever be put in this position? She yelled. Answer no. Never. At the ALDC, costumes weren't just outfits, they were armor. They represented favoritism, insecurity, rebellion, and power. They could make a dancer feel like a queen, or like a cast-off. Abby treated costuming like strategy. The best costume went to the favored girl. The rushed look went to the kid she was punishing that week. And when things fell apart, she always blamed the moms. But through it all, the dancers kept performing. Ripped tights, crooked wigs, broken sequins. They danced through every fashion disaster. It was season 4, and Kelly was already at her limit. Years of favoritism, belittling, and last-minute cast changes had chipped away at her sanity. But what finally pushed her over the edge? Abby trying to replace Brooke and Paige again. In New York City, Abby brought in a new dancer to temporarily join the team. Kelly exploded backstage. "You're constantly trying to replace my kids," she screamed, tears in her voice. Abby fired back with her usual icy tone, maybe because they're replaceable. What happened next became iconic. Kelly lunged at Abby. A full-blown physical altercation on camera. Hair pulling, slapping, complete chaos. Producers separated them. The other moms looked stunned. Paige cried in the corner. Kelly was kicked off the show. And just like that, a Dance Moms era ended with a literal slap. No one could match Christy's ability to deliver a savage one-liner while holding back tears. She fought harder than anyone for her daughter Chloe, and after years of watching Maddie get the star treatment, Christy snapped. One particularly brutal moment came after Abby ranked Chloe last on the pyramid for forgetting a move, even though another dancer had forgotten an entire section the week before. Christy stormed into the studio. "How do you expect her to succeed when you constantly tear her down?" Abby mocked her. Christy flipped. "You're a monster, Abby. A monster in lipstick and leopard print." Her final walkout was just as dramatic. She dragged Chloe out of the dressing room, past the shocked girls. "We're done. I am not letting you ruin her love for dance." Fans were devastated and furious. Christy was the heart of the mom squad, and without her, the show lost one of its fiercest voices. Holly was known as the calm, level-headed mom. A PhD-holding professional, she often tried to stay out of the fray. But even Holly had a breaking point, and when it came, it was epic. One major trigger? Abby consistently giving me a subpar choreography, basic costumes, and disrespectful roles. In a group number about voodoo dolls, Nia was once again typecast. Holly had had enough. "You're reducing her to a caricature, Abby," she shouted. "You don't see her potential because you choose not to." Abby smirked. "She's lucky she's even in the number." That's when the gloves came off. Holly stood up. "You will not minimize my child. Not today." Another unforgettable Holly moment? When she found out Abby was bringing in a new dancer to replace Nia during a tour. "You are trying to phase her out, Abby. And I see right through you." Abby just stared. Holly walked out. Jill. Fashion icon, chaos queen, and Kendall's #1 fan to the point of obsession. Jill started off trying to be the cool mom, but when Kendall wasn't getting solos or costumes that matched the Maddie standard, Jill went nuclear. In season 2, Abby made Kendall go through multiple weeks of probation before giving her a solo. When she finally got one, Abby gave her the wrong music on stage. Jill was Fuming, she stormed into the studio, wearing her infamous fur coat and clutching her designer bag like a weapon. "You sabotaged my daughter, and for what? You're obsessed with Melissa's kids." Abby fired back, "Because her kids deserve it." Jill ripped off her coat and screamed, "You are a monster, Abby. And I don't care what your title is, you are a disgrace to this sport." She threatened to quit multiple times. Sometimes she left. Sometimes she came back with highlights and a new handbag, but she never let Abby silence her. Leslie Payton's mom didn't play by any rules. She wasn't polished like Jill. She wasn't witty like Christy. She was ready to fight on sight. The moment Payton joined the team, tension exploded. The other moms hated that she was older and taller than their daughters. Leslie hated that they acted like Payton didn't belong. Add in Abby's attitude? It was a recipe for rage. In one infamous scene, Leslie got into a screaming match with Kelly that almost turned violent. Chairs were pushed. Security was called. Leslie shouted, "I will fight anyone who comes at me." Another time, she charged into Abby's office after Payton was cut from a routine last minute. "You used her to fill in and then tossed her aside. She deserves better than that, Abby." Leslie didn't care about making friends. She was there for her daughter, and if she had to scream until her voice cracked, so be it. Melissa usually tried to stay diplomatic. She'd quietly sip her Starbucks while the other moms lost their minds, but she was always protecting Maddie and Mackenzie, until the favoritism blew up in her face. By season 5, the team had started turning on Maddie. Other girls were sick of being overshadowed. Abby didn't help, constantly praising Maddie while throwing shade at everyone else. Backstage at one competition, Christy accused Melissa of selling her soul to get Maddie ahead. "You're the reason these girls are torn apart," she yelled. Melissa, usually quiet, finally cracked. "You don't know what I go through to keep this family together," she cried. "I'm just trying to do what's best for my girls." The moment was raw, real, and heartbreaking. For once, Melissa wasn't smiling. She was just a mom under pressure, begging for grace. When the mini-team arrived in season 6, the OG moms didn't know what hit them. Enter Tammy, Eliana's mom, who quickly became one of the most unhinged personalities on the show. Tammy didn't care about seniority. She was there to win. And she didn't hesitate to confront anyone, especially Kira and Jessalyn. "You think because your kids have been here longer, that they're better? Please. My daughter's going to blow them off the stage." She had no filter. She insulted choreo. She insulted costumes. She called Abby a washed-up relic when Eliana got pulled from a number. During one confrontation, she screamed so loud producers had to bleep out her audio. "You're all jealous because our kids are new blood." In the end, Tammy didn't last long, but she made an impact, and a lot of enemies. And then there was Yolanda, Eliana's mom. Her meltdowns were next level, even by dance mom standards. She started out sweet, nervous, eager to please, but that persona cracked fast. This tipping point? A fight with Stacy, Liliana's mom, that turned physical. Stacy accused Yolanda of being manipulative and two-faced. Yolanda charged at her in the hotel hallway, screaming at the top of her lungs, "You think I'm scared of you? I'll do whatever it takes to protect my daughter." She had to be physically restrained. Stacy cried. The other moms were in shock. Even Abby was speechless. It was one of the most explosive mom fights in the show's history, and it marked the beginning of the end for the mini-moms experiment. Sometimes, it wasn't just one mom losing it. It was all of them. In season 6, after weeks of mistreatment and endless disrespect, the entire group banded together. Abby had skipped rehearsals, canceled performances, and barely communicated. The moms reached their breaking point. They confronted her in the studio. Jill, Holly, Jessalyn, Kira, Melissa. "We are done being your puppets, Abby. You haven't choreographed a single number in weeks. You've abandoned these girls and blamed them for your failure." Abby tried to defend herself. "I'm dealing with legal issues," she shouted. But the moms weren't having it. "These girls showed up every day. You didn't." It was one of the most powerful scenes in Dance Moms history. A full mom revolt, and Abby, for once, looked truly rattled. What did it really cost these women to stay on Dance Moms? They endured humiliation, betrayal. They watched their daughters be pitted against each other week after week. And sometimes, staying meant sacrificing peace of mind. That's why so many of the biggest breakdowns came from love, fierce, motherly love. Whether it was Christy defending Chloe, Holly fighting for Nia's dignity, or Kelly choosing sanity over fame, these moms weren't just reality TV characters. They were warriors in stilettos. And when they lost it on camera, it wasn't just drama. It was real, raw emotion. The kind that kept fans coming back season after season. Kelly Hyland and Abby Lee Miller go way back, like childhood dance class back. But that didn't make their dynamic any easier. If anything, it made things worse. Kelly felt like Abby constantly punished her daughters, Brooke and Paige, just to spite her. And she wasn't exactly quiet about it. From day one, Kelly clashed with Abby on solos, roles, and every pyramid decision. "You don't treat my kids like humans," she screamed during a season 1 meltdown. Things escalated until we reached the infamous slap incident in season 4. Abby brought in new dancer Kalani, and Kelly saw it as an attempt to phase out Brooke. One insult too many, one replacement too many. Kelly physically lashed out, pulling Abby's hair and slapping her mid-fight. Producers intervened. Police were called. And just like that, Kelly was gone, not just from ALDC, but from Dance Moms forever. The message? Don't back Kelly into a corner. No one fought harder for their daughter than Christy Lukasiak. Chloe was talented, graceful, and adored by fans, but Abby refused to give her the spotlight. Maddie was the clear favorite. Week after week, Chloe was pushed aside, her confidence chipped away. And Christy snapped. In one heart-wrenching moment, Christy watched Abby call Chloe a sneak and imply she didn't belong at the top of the pyramid. Chloe tried to hold back tears. Christy stood up. "You are a horrible role model," she said through clenched teeth. "You're toxic, Abby." But Abby just laughed. "Then leave." So she did. Christy ripped Chloe's things from the dressing room. She screamed down the hallway, "You will never destroy my daughter again." It was a walkout that left everyone shaken. For fans, it was Chloe's big goodbye and Christy's most savage moment ever. Holly Frazier may have started off calm and composed, but when she went off, it echoed. Her daughter Nia was often given the least flattering roles, the weakest choreography, and the most critique. Holly kept her cool, until Abby crossed a line. In one infamous moment, Abby told Nia she was replaceable after she landed a music video project on her own, with no help from Abby. Holly confronted her. "You didn't support her," she said firmly. "You don't own her career. She's not your property, Abby." Abby smirked. "She'll never be a star without me." And Holly let loose, she already is one. And unlike your favorites, she earned it without special treatment. It wasn't just savage. It was empowering. Holly reminded everyone that behind every strong daughter is a stronger mom, and Abby wasn't the gatekeeper she thought she was. Jessalyn Siwa didn't come to Dance Moms to blend in. She came to dominate. Just like JoJo, she was bright, loud, and unapologetic. Abby hated that. JoJo's personality, her wardrobe, her catchphrases, Abby thought it was too much. She often made JoJo cry backstage, accusing her of being immature or not a real dancer. Jessalyn wasn't having it. "You're not going to break my kid," she snapped. "She's a star with or without your approval." Abby fired back with her usual Maddie obsession. Jessalyn exploded. "This whole studio is built on fear and favoritism. And guess what? We're not afraid of you." Jessalyn's ability to stand up to Abby, while still staying fabulous, made her a fan favorite. And her showdown moments were some of the wildest, fiercest clapbacks in ALDC history. Kira Gerard, Kalani's mom, had a reputation for being chill until Abby disrespected Kalani. Then it was war. In season 5, Kalani had proven herself time and time again, but Abby started pushing her aside in favor of new blood. When Kira asked why, Abby accused her of being too involved in Kalani's career. Kira exploded. "Of course I'm involved. I'm her mother. I'm not just gonna sit back while you sabotage her." Things got even more heated when Abby tried to pit Kalani against Maddie in a solo showdown and gave Kalani a weaker routine. Kira charged into the studio and screamed, "You are a manipulative liar, and I won't let you ruin her future." Her final mic drop? "You need us more than we need you." The moms cheered in the background. Melissa always tried to stay neutral. She was besties with Abby, loyal to a fault, until things spiraled out of control. As pressure mounted for Maddie and Mackenzie to perform perfectly week after week, Melissa began to crack. She stopped defending Abby. She started protecting her kids. In one emotional episode, Melissa pulled Abby aside. "I can't do this anymore," she said. "They're just little girls, and you're using them to hurt other moms." Abby tried to guilt trip her. "You wouldn't be where you are without me." Melissa's voice broke. "Maybe. But I'm not going to sell their happiness for success." She took Maddie and Mackenzie out of the team, and Abby went ballistic. But Melissa stood firm. She picked peace over pressure. And in doing so, she gave fans one of the most mature, emotional exits in Dance Moms history. Underscore 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 underscore. Chapter 7: The Reunion Reckoning. The Moms Unite. By the time the reunion rolled around in later seasons, the moms had reached their limit. And they let Abby have it. Christy, Holly, Jesselyn, Kira, and Jill reunited on the couch. When Abby walked in, the room froze. One by one, they took turns confronting her. "You abandoned our daughters. You played favorites and punished everyone else. You humiliated them on national television. You put your ego ahead of their well-being." Abby tried to clap back. Holly shut her down. "You have no idea how much damage you've done. It wasn't just a savage attack. It was a reckoning. Years of abuse, favoritism, and manipulation were laid bare." And for once, Abby couldn't deflect. It was one of the most satisfying showdowns in Dance Moms history. A few more gems from the Moms vs. Abby saga. Stacy vs. Abby. When Abby mocked Liliana's costume and called her forgettable, Stacy fired back with, "You wouldn't recognize talent if it tap danced across your face." Ashley vs. Abby. After Abby ditched Brynn mid-rehearsal, Ashley screamed, "Your idea of leadership is bullying. And I won't let my daughter be your punching bag." Amanda vs. Abby. One of the mini-moms stormed out screaming, "You're toxic, and everyone here is scared to say it." The studio was a battleground. And Abby? She was the warlord. But eventually, even she couldn't silence the uprising. Let's be honest, Abby built ALDC. She gave these girls a platform. But without the moms, there wouldn't be a show. They brought the drama, the heart, the fight. Yes, Abby yelled louder. Yes, she choreographed the wins. But the moms never stopped pushing back. For every insult, there was a comeback. For every tear, there was a storm. So who won? Maybe the real victory was this. The moms showed the world that standing up for your child is always worth it, even if it means going up against the biggest bully on cable TV.